Matt Walsh obliterates a crazy leftist actor after he drops a dumber than stupid take on Bill Maher's show. Guys, this is going to be fun, but also a bit infuriating, all right? Fair warning in advance. This guy is, let's just say he's not the sharpest tool in the shed, to say the least, all right? So we're going to get right into it, and it's going to be fun. But first, do me a big favor here. Like our video, share it around, and if you are new, please subscribe to the Resist to Mainstream YouTube channel so we can keep bringing you guys this great content. As always, my friends, I'm your host, Darian, and this is Resist the Mainstream.
Today we cancel the actor Jon Cryer, who is, of course, the former star of the sitcom Will and Grace, or may have been 2.5 Men. I didn't bother to check. But in any event, Cryer appeared on Bill Maher's podcast this week where he offered his theory on why Donald Trump won. Watch.
I think the whole country, even unless you're like stupid woke, I hope you're not, but you know, it is Hollywood.
Somewhat stupidly woke.
Okay. The whole country was like, I mean, I think the biggest issue for the election, one of the biggest ones, was Democrats pointlessly, totally just punted on immigration and let anybody who wanted to walk in for 3.5 years did. And you know.
Well, I think they would probably disagree. The people walking in probably felt like it was a little harder.
No, actually, there's a great 60 Minutes piece on it where the border, I mean, you don't get 8 million people here by making it difficult. But you see they're walking through and the border guys are just watching them do it. They're just watching them walk past. You never saw that?
I did not see that.
See, that doesn't get in the liberal media. That's the problem, is the bubbles we live in.
Mm-hmm.
I think I had it right. Like, that kind of stuff is what lost the election for the Democrats. It's in all...
Maybe part of it? I don't know. I think a lot...
they have polling on it.
Well, I think it's inflation. I think Americans hate inflation.
That's certainly what
they hate
part
inflation,
of it.
they hate riots, and they hate black women.
They
hate trans people.
Oh, God, John, we're not
Dude,
gonna...
they just spent hundreds of millions of dollars
don't hate
demonizing trans people. And that's disgusting.
Yeah, we shouldn't talk politics.
Okay, we shouldn't. We shouldn't. Great. We don't have to.
No.
Now, what makes this stupid is, well, everything about it, but let's narrow it down a bit. Cryer gets the first part of the answer right. He says Trump won because Americans hate inflation and riots. That simplifies and condenses the issue quite a bit, but it's basically correct. Americans were tired of our wrecked economy and our lawless cities. They wanted economic stability and law and order. But then Cryer throws in the claim that Americans also hate black women. So apparently his theory is that Americans correctly associated Kamala with economic decline and lawlessness, but would have still voted for her if not for the fact that she's black. We would have said, well, you know, we really hate inflation and crime, but she's white, so we'll take it. Never mind the fact that Trump beat Hillary Clinton in the first run, who is, last I checked, not black. Now, of course, this is all part of the mythology that woke idiots like Jon Cryer subscribe to. It's a mythology that, as we know, claims that America is racist, and according to this mythology, black women in particular get the harshest treatment. Black women are reviled and persecuted more than anyone else, they say.
I mostly agree with Walsh. There are some other groups that also get, put in the persecuted hierarchy here. Another example, obviously, is transgender people, as they call it. People who identify as a different sex than they actually are. There's something important I want to point out about that. It's amazing how the left will flip these issues morally to somehow make people who are either conservative or just normal the bad guys. Notice what the dumb actor said. I can't even remember his name. Who cares what his name is? He goes on and says, oh, they're dehumanizing trans people. It's so evil, so terrible. What are you even talking about? All right, dude, you're the guy who wants sex changes for children. Okay, I'm not dehumanizing anybody. All right, you are doing that, and you ought to be ashamed. And you know what? One day you will be judged for that. I hope you remember that. And I'm sure he doesn't believe that because he's obviously an atheist who hates God and Christianity and all that. Duh. But mark my words, one day he will suffer the consequences of his despicable actions and what he supports.
Never mind the fact that Oprah is one of the wealthiest and most popular figures in the country. So is Beyonce. We were constantly told during the race that Michelle Obama's approval ratings were higher than any candidate or any potential candidate on either side. Now, I don't think any of those people should be popular, but not because they're black, but because they're all pretty awful in their own ways. But they do cause some problems for the America hates black women narrative. In fact, here's the funny thing. Nearly all of the people who claim that Kamala lost because she's sort of a black woman would also say that Michelle Obama would have crushed Trump, even though Michelle Obama is blacker than Kamala. Now, things took an even more ridiculous turn when the conversation moved to the trans issue. Listen.
You're asking too much often to rewrite like the idea that when someone is born, there is a default setting for humans, male and female. Not everyone is. Now, a real conservative would say, no, everyone is. I would never say that.
But
I think
a real conservative and also somebody who has a basic understanding of human nature, biology, reality, etc. Yeah.
a liberal says
there are chromosomal spectrums.
There's a default.
There's
a default setting,
hermaphroditism.
but then there's a whole other section, and that's great, and we should protect those people. But don't pretend there isn't also a default setting. And you can't rewrite the world so that every baby is just a jump ball. Oh, it could be anything. No, if it's got a dick, it's probably a boy. And if it's
Probably.
not, we'll deal with that. We'll deal with that in a compassionate way.
Well, yeah,
but we'll also be apprised of the idea that children don't know about anything. Yes, sometimes it is obvious, and we should address it that way. But I mean, kids, almighty. I mean, the idea that I would, as a child, would have had to have dealt with something like this.
Well, again, the people that go through it don't say this is the life I want. No parent wants to be in the midst of those choices. It's
Some
terrifying.
kids these days actually just do want to be trans.
I
It's
don't
cooler,
agree.
John.
I don't
it's
agree.
a thing.
Nope. I don't agree.
Come on.
I don't agree with Bill Maher.
don't-
That's the name of the show tonight.
Well,
Ugh, this guy is just so insufferable. It's mind-boggling. You know, just imagine if a kid identified as Spider-Man or Batman, all right? You know, kids have plenty of delusions, all right? I think we all know, if you know anyone who's been one, which last I checked was everybody, would know that. Would you tell this kid, oh, you're a superhero, all right, go jump off a building, you know, shoot a web out, shoot the bat array out, whatever. You'll be fine. Of course not, right? You'd be putting the kid at certain risk. And I'm sure all the angry leftists right now in the comments are gonna be arguing, oh, that's a ridiculous comparison. You're comparing superhero delusions to gender identity? Yeah, actually I am. You're literally telling the kid, hey, go get some so-called doctor, a medical professional, to do an irreversible, permanent, and disgusting change to your body that can never be undone. But, you know, I'm being disingenuous here? No. Now, let's see what else this very unintelligent and dopey comedian has to say. It's gonna be fun.
your eyes are not open to that, I
Okay.
think.
Well,
I
okay, you
there
can-
are some kids, especially, why is it like so much more prevalent, like here than Indiana?
Well-
are they suppressing it there? Maybe a little.
Yeah, there's
But
a societal
but
suppression, but it's like left-handedism. Being left-handed was suppressed for for thousands of years amongst human beings. But once it was apparently in the 30s, scientists basically said there's no left-handedness doesn't actually do anything bad.
Right.
Left-handedness shot up. People just stopped training themselves to be right-handed. And this has happened societally before, and that's the closest analog that I can think of.
Lord, help me have the will to pray for these people, because, it's getting extremely difficult right now. Comparing left-handedness with permanently damaging a child because they identify a certain way. Is his intelligence actually at this low of a level, or is he purposely doing it because he just doesn't care and he's a monster? I don't know which one. I don't know which is worse. Ugh, this is insane.
Now, there are many problems with this. To start with, Bill Maher is presenting the weakest possible case for team sanity here. He says that male or female are the default settings for most humans, but not all humans, which is, of course, incorrect. It's not most humans. Every human who exists on the planet, who has ever existed, will ever exist, either falls into the category of male or female. There are no other categories. Those are the only two. So Bill's given up far too much ground to the other side at the outset of this conversation. And any amount of ground given up is too much. Give them nothing because they deserve nothing, and their ideas have no merit and no value. So Jon Cryer takes the ball and runs with it, and he compares being trans to being left-handed and says that left-handedness was suppressed for thousands of years. And once the suppression stopped, left-handedness exploded. And he claims that it's a similar thing is happening with transgenderism. The explosion in trans identification is not because of social contagion, it's because the 1,000-year campaign of suppression has come to an end.
Well, folks, that wraps up our videos for today. What'd you all think? Please be sure to comment below. Let us know what you thought about the clip, what you think about Jon Cryer. Is that his name? This crazy leftist actor. His opinion. Do you think is he stupid? Is he evil? Is it a bit of both? I don't know. I want to hear your thoughts. Thanks for tuning in, and God bless.